Hi, I'm Brian E. Denton, author of the book A Year of War and Peace and the poetry collection Inspiration. Welcome to my channel. This video is part of a series I'm doing on Dante's Divine Comedy, wherein I'm reading through the entire Divine Comedy, all three books, Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso, at a rate of 3 cantos or chapters per week. This is part of my independent contribution to Baylor University's 100 Days of Dante Project. If you haven't heard of the 100 Days of Dante Project, please do click through on the link I provide in the show notes. High quality stuff, guarantee you're going to like it. If you're a new viewer, first of all, welcome, and I would ask you to please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. We've set the goal of getting up to 250 subscribers by the end of the year, and I think we can get there with your help, so thanks in advance for that. Also for new viewers, please know that I've recently completed the Inferno playlist. So if you want to read the Inferno with me, go ahead and check out that playlist. I'll provide a link to that as well in the show notes. And also for new viewers, finally, you're going to want to know that these videos follow a certain organization. You have this introduction, that will be followed by a synopsis of the canto under discussion. After that, we'll get a characters and themes section. Then we'll have a takeaway section where I will offer my own personal thoughts on the canto and how we can use it to live better lives ourselves. After that, I'll wrap things up with an outro, and then you just go wherever the YouTube algorithm takes you. So with all that said, let's get right into it. Today's canto is Dante's Purgatorio, Canto 2. We start with Dante the poet delivering one of history's greatest literary Rube Goldberg machines, wherein he expends 9 lines, 3 whole tercets, just to say it was dawn. Brevity isn't always the soul of wit, I guess. Anyway, after those 9 lines, we get the sense that both Dante and Virgil are hesitant as to what they should do next. Lucky for them, they're sidetracked by the arrival of a boat with an angel for a helmsman. It's a beautiful sight. The shining whiteness of it all nearly blinds Dante. Virgil gets really excited, like very, very enthusiastic. The boat is ferrying in new souls, and the angel, as he brings them to the shore, leads them all in what I am sure is a very stirring rendition of Psalm 114. And then, after offering his benediction in the form of a cross, he heads right back to wherever it was he came from before. The crowd the angel leaves behind is actually quite bewildered. Seems natural. They don't appear to know exactly where they are. Neither would I, really, if I was in their shoes. So they ask Dante and Virgil for directions. And our 2 poets reply that they're pilgrims here too. They don't know. The new souls realize that Dante is still living due to his breathing. And one of these new souls, a man named Casella, apparently an old friend of Dante, introduces himself. Dante tries to embrace his friend, but he can't because his friend is a disembodied soul. Dante actually tries to hug him 3 times. He's so excited to see this man. And each time he fails because, again, Casella is a disembodied soul, a shade. I can understand Dante the Pilgrim's confusion at this because Dante the poet hasn't exactly been consistent with the physics of this world. At any rate, Casella, it turns out, is quite the accomplished musician. He's a singer. And actually, he's turned some of Dante the poet's poems into song. And so Dante the Pilgrim asked Casella, his old friend, if he could one more sing him a song. And so Casella sings, and it's beautiful. It's beautifully mesmerizing. Everyone loves it, not just Dante, but all the new penitent souls that have arrived. Actually, not everyone loves it, because soon Cato the Younger comes blasting into the scene, says things are not going according to plan. You guys need to get moving. He reminds them that they're not here to sing or to listen to music. They're here for the hard business of purification, so they better get going, which is what they do. There is a lot in this canto, despite its simple structure. I'd like to focus on 3 specific thematic elements and how Dante the Pilgrim, as a character, fits into them. The first thematic element that I'd like to discuss is the role of angels in the Divine Comedy. We meet one of them today. After that, we'll discuss the use of music in this canto, and then finally, the concept of self-control and how it's used in this canto, and then develop throughout the poem moving forward. Alright, so angels. We've already met a few angels already in the Inferno. We had the rebellious angels, you remember them. We also had that one angel who swooped down into hell real quick to open up the city of Dis because Virgil couldn't open the gates himself. I'm sure you remember that guy. And then, of course, who can forget Satan, the fallen angel? This paucity of angels so far in the poem makes sense because we've only seen hell so far. It only stands to reason that we wouldn't have met too many of them. But now, however, we're in a heavenly-ish place. We're among the saved, even if they still have some purifying work to do to gain entry into paradise. So naturally, it makes sense that we meet an angel here. And spoiler alert, we're going to meet a lot of angels from this point forward, both in Purgatorio and in Paradiso. In fact, just to get a little bit ahead of ourselves, the angelic scenes in Paradiso are among the most beautiful images in all of poetry. Get ready. But back to the angel in this canto. We get our first glimpse of this angel from Dante the Pilgrim's perspective. And you have to remember that Dante the Pilgrim is still on the shore. He's just had that pliant reed tied to his waist. And the first image he gets of this coming angel, it's a brilliant, blinding, shining whiteness. And the whiteness is contrasted against the reddish haze of the early morning sunrise. Very nice imagery. Note that for Dante, the shining whiteness of this angel is blinding. I really want to emphasize this for you. It's going to happen continuously with Dante. He's going to see an angel. The angel is going to be shining in white brightness, and it's going to temporarily blind him. For me, this is more of the epistemic distance that we've discussed, that distance between godly knowledge, represented here by the angel, and mere human knowledge, represented by Dante. Dante can't really comprehend this godly knowledge yet, and this is represented by the temporary blindness that he experiences looking upon this shining whiteness of the angel. At any rate, the whiteness approaches the shore very, very quickly. So quickly, in fact, that we soon get a good, clear view of what this whiteness is, and the whiteness is an angel guiding a boat to the shore. Virgil gets very excited, like very, very excited. He tells Dante that, we gotta bend the knee right now and fold our hands in prayer for this thing. He then exclaims, and I'm paraphrasing here, "Look at how this boat moves. Just look at it." Here, Virgil is drawing not only Dante's attention to the boat, but also our attention to the boat, the readers. So I was very surprised when reading the English language commentaries to note that there's not a lot written in these commentaries about Virgil's drawing of attention to the boat. Because after all, as I said, Virgil is not only Dante's guide, he's also our guide to Inferno and Purgatorio. And he very clearly tells us to look at certain things about this boat. One would think that it would elicit a bit more commentary than exists. I'm going to commentate, though. Hopefully my thoughts on these two stanzas aren't too ridiculous. Let me know down in the comments. Let's look at the two stanzas first. "Look how he scorns all human instruments, and wants no oar, no other sail beside his wings, between such distant shores. Look how those wings are raised into the sky, fanning the air with his eternal pinions, which do not change like mortal plumage." In this first stanza, we read that the boat is propelled not by any human influence or innovation, it simply glides as if propelled by God's breath alone. For me, what this indicates is that the penitent's journey, for that's who is on the boat, penitents, they're arriving on the shores of Purgatory. What it represents then is that the penitent's journey is God-directed. They're leaving behind mere human concerns. Or perhaps it's meant to indicate, as we've discussed in the closing canto of the Inferno, that the penitent now relies more upon their spiritual rather than their fleshly nature. The spirit has conquered the instinctual. The second stanza, the one that depicts the angel's wings being immovable even amidst all the wind of the boat on the sea, I like to compare this with Canto 12, when Virgil and Dante sidestep the Minotaur and descend down the mountainside. You'll remember from Canto 12 that Dante, the person, his feet and their weight dislodge rocks from the mountainside. Contrast this with what happens in today's canto. The heavenly wings of the angel are immovable by any earthly phenomena. So here, the angel's wings, heavenly substance, remains unmoved by earthly substance. And just the opposite happened in Canto 12 of the Inferno. Real quick, we're going to see a lot of this kind of echoing of theme and action from the Inferno and the Purgatorio. In fact, we have another echo in this very scene, one that's might be more of an obvious parallel. Recall back to Canto 3 of the Inferno, where upon Charon's signal, the sinners fling themselves from the shore to Charon's boat. Well, here, at the angel's signal, in the second canto of the Purgatorio, the penitent sinners leave the boat for the shore. Do you see the echo? So again, look out for these echoes, these thematic rhymes, and think about what Dante is trying to communicate when he uses them, because these are probably, in fact, definitely not an accident. Dante knows exactly what he's doing. He's one of the greatest poets of all time, remember? And that brings us to our discussion of music, because as the boat arrives, the angel leads the penitent singers in a stirring performance of Psalm 114. This is fitting. First, Psalm 114 is one of the readings from the daily office for Easter Day. And remember, Easter Day is exactly where we are in the poem Purgatorio right now. I'm taking all this from the daily office according to the Book of Common Prayer. I'm pretty sure that Psalm 114 is read by Catholics as well on Easter Day, although I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure it would be. Psalm 114 is also fitting for our purposes here in Purgatorio because the psalm sings of Israel leaving Egypt through the sea. Here in this canto, then, the penitent sinners escape the bondage of sin by crossing over the sea, just as in the psalm, Israel escapes the bondage of Egypt. It's also profitable to contrast the reception of this song, the psalm, with the other song that appears in the canto. The second song is the song of Casella, Dante's old friend, and this is a song of secular love. And how is it received? At first, very beautifully. Everyone seems to enjoy it, especially Dante. The penitents and Dante, they just bask in its beauty. But then the old stuffy conservative Cato the Younger comes rushing into the scene and breaks it up completely, demanding that everyone get back to their duty. And this is an important scene because it reminds us of what we're doing here in Purgatory. We're leaving behind the secular and we're cleansing ourselves of it in preparation for entry into paradise. So here it's acceptable to sing psalms or hymns as these are offered for godly reasons, but it's inappropriate to sing a secular love song. That is something that Dante, the penitents, and even probably us, the readers, need to learn. That's what we will learn as we climb the mountain of Purgatory. And this Casella's song brings us to our final thematic element of this canto, the last one I'm going to comment on anyway, and that is the notion of self-control. We'll see this pop up again and again throughout the Purgatorio. We'll see that the penitent sinners of Purgatorio need to continuously purge themselves of attachments, often because they love something earthly too much, even if that earthly thing is a good thing in a moral sense. I think that that's exactly what's being communicated here with Casella's song. In and of itself, music isn't sinful, not at all. I'm sure the tune also was very, very nice. Everyone appeared to enjoy it, obviously. But the attachment that Dante places upon it is simply too much. It disturbs his concentration on and commitment to spiritual cleansing, which is the entire project down here in Purgatory. That's why old Cato has to storm into the scene and get things moving again. Glad he did. We have a long way to go. Casella's song isn't the only thing that Dante the Pilgrim shows an undue attachment to in this canto. There's also Casella himself. Dante really seems to love this guy. He tries to hug him 3 times, and he misses every single time. He misses, obviously, because Casella is a disembodied, ghostly apparition, and therefore not amenable to hugging. Dante is very moved here, very emotional. He's starting to lose control of himself. And even when Casella backs away, Dante still kind of closes in on him, wanting to hug him, and Casella but kind of motions for Dante to chill out. Which he should do, because as we see, Dante's starting to lose control of himself right here. And we see him lose control of himself when Casella starts singing later in the canto. This is Dante's major character flaw, at least right now in the story of our poem. Yes, he's finally learned to orient himself towards a godly direction by following his spiritual side rather than his secular, but he's still attached unhealthily, as we see today, to earthly concerns. We see this in the way that he repeatedly attempts to embrace his friend, even though he knows that it's impossible. I therefore want to leave you today with meditations on self-control and the proper relationship we should have towards the things in life that we love. And to do this, I'm going to use one classical pagan passage and one Christian passage, because that's just the way that Dante would want me to do it. Do not ask things to happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and your life will go smoothly. And beside this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge, and to knowledge temperance, and to temperance patience, and to patience godliness, and to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness charity. For if these things be in you, and abound, they will make you that ye shall neither be barren nor unfruitful in the knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ. But he that lacketh these things is blind, and cannot see afar off, and hath forgotten that he was purged from his old sins. Alright, that concludes my video for Canto 2 of Dante's Purgatorio. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did, although I cannot believe that it took me until the Purgatorio to realize that I should conclude every takeaway with a classical pagan quote and a Christian or biblical quote. It seems so obvious now. What a moron. Anyway, if you did like the video, please consider liking it and also subscribing to the channel. Remember that we're trying to get up to 250 subscribers by the end of the year, and I think we can get there with your help, so thanks in advance for that. But more importantly than liking the video or subscribing to the channel is getting a conversation going down in the comments below. So let me know what you think of this canto and the poem so far. Very interested to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, if you'd like to contact me, you can do so on Twitter. My handle there is @BrianEDenton. These videos are going to be released every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from now on, God willing. So the next video will be released on Friday. Until then, take care of yourselves and others.